we realized that a lot of people never been to a mosque before. There was a lot of stereotypes about Muslims. There was a lot of hate and fear and ignorance about the Muslim community. So what we decided to do, you know what? Let's open our doors. Everyone is more than welcome to come in. Let us talk. Let you meet us. Let you know about us. Hopefully, that will make you understand who we are and how we live our lives, how we practice our faith. Maybe we will decrease the tension or the fear or the ignorance that people have about us. And this event became so popular, thousands and thousands of people start visiting the mosques at the early years, to the point it spread throughout the country, because we started here in Southern California, spread throughout the country, and event went beyond overseas to Australia, Ireland, many European countries and Asian countries as well. The point of our visit today, or this discussion, is to explain to you what we Muslims believe in. I'm not going to here sit down and tell you I am good, you're bad, I am right, you're wrong, I'm going to heaven, you're going to hell. I'm not here to say that, and that's not the purpose of us inviting you here. Merely we're going to let you know what we believe in. You're going to find a lot of the things that we believe in are similar to what you believe in, but some of them are different, which is okay. There is no reason for us to have any bad feelings or hatred towards each other because of those differences that we have. So you are in an Islamic center. Islam is a religion. It's not an ethnicity. It's not a citizenship. It's not a culture. It's a religion. One day someone asked me, do you speak Islam? I said, Islam is not a language. It is not a people. It's a religion. So a Muslim could be African, could be Asian, could be Middle Eastern, could be Caucasian, could be South American, could be Hispanic, could be anybody. So what makes a Muslim are sets of things that we believe in. And that's what we'll go over them little by little. There are 1.8 billion Muslims on the face of earth nowadays. That's the second largest group of people of faith on earth. Right after Christians, if you combine Christians and Catholics together, they're 2.2 billion. Then right after that comes the Muslims. And majority of Muslims are non-Arabs. One of the biggest misconceptions that people have, that they think that all Muslims are Arabs and all Arabs are Muslims. I personally come from a small town, I don't know if you heard about it, it's called Bethlehem. You know where Bethlehem is? Oh, that's my hometown. Bethlehem is made out of Arabs. Majority of people in Bethlehem are Christians. So they speak Arabic, they eat Arabic food, they dress Arabic clothing, but they're not Muslims. The same thing. The highest population of Muslim on earth is where? Anyone knows? Indonesia. This is the 500,000 people, 405 million people live in Indonesia, Malaysia as well next, India and Pakistan, and only 18% of Muslims on the face of earth are considered Arabs. And that's something, we're past the greeting. So Islam is the religion, Muslims are those who follow the religion of Islam. Now, what makes a Muslim a Muslim? It's a set of things that we believe in. As Muslims, we believe in God. So we believe that there is a creator who one created the whole universe. His name is in Arabic is what? Allah. You've heard that word before? We believe that it's the same God that Jews and Christians worship, and the one they refer to as Heavenly Father, Yahweh, whatever the word it is, but we believe as Muslims it's the same God. Actually, if you, Aisha, if you don't mind, just lower the voice here. Thank you. If you open a Bible that's written in Arabic, and remember we said there are Christians who are Arabs, if you open their Bible that's written in Arabic, you'll find the word Allah mentioned in it and written in it referring to God. If you speak to a Christian Arab and they want to swear and give you an oath, they say by Allah, Wallah. So Allah is not the God of the moon. It's not a weird God. It's the same God that we worship. We believe that other people of faith worship as well. We also believe in the scriptures. We believe that all the people who worship God, they received a scripture through a messenger. So we as Muslims believe there are messengers came from God. Each one of them came with a scripture. So for example, as Muslims, we believe that Jesus came to the Christians with the Bible or the Gospel. We believe that Moses came to the Jews, or later became Jews, with the Torah. We believe that Abraham came with the pamphlets. David came with the Psalms. All these things part of our faith. I cannot say I'm a Muslim, but I do not love or respect Jesus. I cannot say I'm a Muslim, but I don't believe that Moses came with the Torah. That it contradicts the idea of what a Muslim means. The same way I cannot say I'm an atheist Muslim. That's an oxymoron. But also I cannot say I'm a Muslim, but I don't love or respect these messengers and prophets. And they're mentioned in the Quran. Throughout the whole Quran, these names are mentioned, and it's encouraging us to be respectful and mention them with regards and respect. We can go quickly. Now, Muslims in America, they've been coming since 1875. Nowadays, Muslims in America are made out of three groups. About 8 million Muslims in America, North America. Either they're immigrants like myself who migrated to the country many years ago or recently, or they are born Muslims in America, their parents migrated, or they're people who decide to become Muslim later on in their lives. These are the main three groups in America. Now, if there is something I want you to differentiate today, is the difference between Islam as a religion and the culture of those who believe in Islam. There's so many cultures out there, and it's only one religion called Islam. That's what we believe among our community. It's very important to differentiate with that. Why is that? Because many of the negative things and the stereotypes that people say about Islam, they're cultural practices. I'll give you an example. I always go and say that Islam gave women the freedom to get education. Not only the freedom, it's actually an obligation upon every man and woman in Islam to earn knowledge. Someone said, oh no, what about what's happening in Afghanistan? If a girl goes to school, they throw acid on her face or they harass her. You guys heard about Malala, right? Yep. Malala was shot in her face because she was promoting education for girls. So people tell me, what about that? You're telling us Islam promoting education and knowledge, and this happens? I say, that is culture. The culture of her village decides that girls should not get education. If they go to school, they'll be ruined. So that's why they harass them, that's why they fight them, that's why they attack them. But in Islam, it says every male, every female must earn knowledge. So that's a difference between religion and culture that I want you to also keep in mind. Also, if I ask you a question, how do Muslims look like? What comes to your mind? Beard. What else? Big turban, white robes, right? These are Muslims. I'm not denying that. But also these are Muslims. Right? Malcolm X, Jeffrey Lang, people that you see in the room. We come from different cultures. Some of us like to dress white robes. Some of us like to wear suits and jeans. Depends on which part of the world you are. If I ask you about Muslim kids, how would they look like? Kids, right? They could look like this, cute, adorable. But also, these are actual Muslim kids. These are actually Muslim kids, okay? So, what about Muslim food? What's an Islamic food? What comes to your mind if I tell you what's an Islamic food? Kebabs, falafel, hummus, what else? Biryani, baklava, right? These are cultural foods. These are Arabic foods. Guess what else is Islamic food? These. If a Muslim can eat this, this is considered Islamic food. Muslims, when it comes to food, have mainly two restrictions. You cannot eat pork, you cannot drink alcohol. So anything else that a Muslim can consume is considered an Islamic food. That's what I mean, the difference between Islam as a religion and culture. Some cultures are beautiful. Our cultures, my Arabic culture, is beautiful, has a lot of good things in it, but also has a lot of bad things in it. Has a lot of wrong things in it. Islam came to fix these wrong practices. That's how we believe in, what we believe in. This is Boy Scouts all here locally, Islamic religious emblem for the Boy Scouts as well. The mosques in Islam are the main center of the community and the place of worship, just like the church in Christianity, the synagogue in Judaism. Mosques have no set structure. The minarets, the domes came later on. A mosque is simply a wide, big place that people can get together and pray. Here in America, they have different versions, different forms, as I said earlier. Some of them are small, some of them are big. Some of them are built from ground as a mosque. Some of them are just modified buildings or modified place of worship. And some of them as small as a garage in someone's house. It all depends when did the community start and how much money they have to build something. Around the world, if you visit countries around the world, you'll see mosques built in a fabulous and beautiful way. Taj Mahal is one of them. But again, this is what the culture of that part of the world like it to look like. So what makes a Muslim Muslim is sets of beliefs, as we said, things that we practice. Monotheism is the main thing that we believe in as Muslim, that God is one. That's one of the main differences we have between Muslims and other faiths, for example, that we believe God is one. We don't believe that God has a child, or we don't believe that God has partners or other deities. That is one of the main things that we look at it as different between us and other religions. These are the 6 pillars of faith. We believe in God, as we said. We believe in the angels, the prophets, the day of judgment. We don't believe death is the end of the story. We believe after we die, we're going to be resurrected. We're going to stand before God, and we're going to be asked about our lives and how did we do it. If we did something good, we'll be rewarded. If we did something bad, we'll be accountable and questioned about it. For us, it makes sense. It's an incentive or a motivation for us to do good in life. Because if you do anything wrong, you'll be asked about it. We don't believe a murderer, a rapist can get away with murder, even if they got away with it here. We don't believe they'll get away with it later on. Muhammad is the main character of Islam, or the main prophet. There's so many books that praise him in a good way. I would really definitely invite you to read about them. The top 100 influential people in the world by Michael Hart. He put Muhammad as number 1. The Quran is the book of Muslims, just like the Gospel or the Torah for the Christians and the Jews. If you open a Quran, it's written in Arabic, but it's translated to every single language on earth, just like the Bible. The Bible did not come down in English. Jesus did not speak English, right? I hope you all know that. But he spoke Hebrew. And from Hebrew to Greek to Latin to English to French to Arabic to all kinds of languages on earth, the Bible was translated. The same thing for the Quran. It was revealed in Arabic, but it was translated to all languages around the world. When we are praying, like I told you earlier, we're praying, we recite certain original language, the Arabic, all of us. Even if we don't speak Arabic, we memorize it that way. But then when we're talking to God, we speak in the language that we are comfortable with and understand it. This is a fancy mosque in Egypt, very, very old mosque that just too much chandeliers, too many. These are the 5 pillars of Islam. This is what makes a Muslim a practicing Muslim. So we said, you believe in 6 things, you become a Muslim. You practice 5 things, you become a practicing Muslim. The first one is called Shahada, or declaration of faith. Every day we declare our faith. We say, I believe in God, and I believe that Muhammad is his messenger. Number 2 is the prayer, salah. It's a physical form of prayer. You saw one of them right now. Imagine the day is divided into 5 periods of 5 blocks. 1 in the morning, 1 in the midday of the day, 1 in the afternoon, 1 at sunset, and 1 at night. Few hours. Within those few hours, we perform 1 prayer. It takes few minutes, just like you saw. 5 minutes. We try our best to perform that prayer wherever we are. If I am at work, I'll take 5 minutes from my lunch break to perform that prayer. If I'm at the park playing with my buddies, time for prayer, okay, stop, let's get our prayer over. If having dinner with my friends, if I'm in the movie theaters and time it is, I'll go to an empty theater next door and I pray in it. Wherever I am, the time of prayer happens, I would try my best to go and make my prayer. We do it in congregation at the mosque 5 times a day at a set time. Even though we have a window of time to pray it, but at the mosque, it's set at a set time. So if you come in the morning at 6 a.m., you'll find several people here, 30, 40 people praying. If you come at 8 p.m., you'll also find so many people here are praying. And as we said earlier, Friday is the main prayer of the week at 1 p.m. Number 3 is zakah or charity. We as Muslims are required to pay 2.5% of our savings, not our income, our savings. So at the end of the year, I look how much savings do I have, I multiply that by 2.5%, and I find a family who is in need, an orphanage, a hospital, a mosque, any project or anything that can benefit from my charity, and I'll go give it to them. We don't have a hierarchy. We don't have a centralized location where you pay to it and it distributes it. There are companies who does that service, but we don't have to do that. So when I look at the end of the year, 2.5% of my wealth or my savings, I calculate how much I own property, how much I have money in the bank, how much gold, or whatever it is. I take 2.5% and I find someone who needs it and I give it to them. That is part of the requirements of being a practicing Muslim. Number 4 is fasting. You've heard about the word Ramadan. Ramadan is a month, a lunar month. For 30 days, Muslims fast. From sunrise to sunset, we do not eat, we don't drink, and no intimate relationship between a husband and wife during the daytime. At sunset, things go back to normal. That's why if you are, let's say, happen to come and stay with me in my house in Ramadan, you will be amazed that at 3 a.m. all of us will wake up, and we'll wake you up with us, because we're going to have to eat before sunrise. So we eat our last meal for the day, and sadly sometimes we eat as it's the last time in our lives. So we fill our stomachs, and then we go on a fast for the whole day, and then at sunset we sit down in another nice meal gathering. We eat as it's the first time in our lives. So then we flip on our backs, and we cannot move. We invited you all in Ramadan to come here to attend with us the iftar or the breaking of the fast. Any of you attended the event here before? Nice. We would like to invite you, anybody who would like to come in Ramadan. It's a very nice experience. You're more than welcome, absolutely. If you left your email, you'll get an invitation in Ramadan. Now, someone would ask, what if someone cannot fast? What if it's really difficult for them? I mean, what if someone's pregnant? She's not supposed to stay without food and drinks the whole day. What if someone is sick? So there is a rule. There is a nice organized structure for that, which is if someone cannot fast because they're sick or because they're traveling and it's too difficult, they are allowed to break the fast for that day, and they'll make it up later. They'll make it up when they feel better. If someone's pregnant, she will break her fast, and then when she gives birth, when she's done breastfeeding, she'll make up the days that she missed. If someone permanently cannot fast, someone is really having health issues, diabetic person, because in diabetes you're not supposed to go without food or for a long time, otherwise you'll get in trouble. So those who cannot make it up later on, they are expected to give, for every day that they did not fast, feed one poor person. So find a poor person, give them a meal. So someone did not fast for 30 days, they'll find 30 people, give them 30 meals, or one person feed them every day for 30 days. So this way they make up for the fast that they could not make. Now, how old when we start fasting? Are we going to go to 3-year-old kids? You're not eating and drinking for the rest of the day? No. It's expected that we start fasting after the age of puberty. That's the age that Muslims consider now it's requirements on them to do things. But most families, they start training their kids at a young age. I remember I was in 1st grade. I wanted to fast. Mom, I want to fast. She said, no, you're not fasting. You're too young for this. But you can do the birdie fast. You'll fast till noon. So at noon, I got excited. I broke my fast. Next year, she extended it to 2. The year after it, 4 p.m. And then after several years, I was able to fast a normal day. Now you ask all of us, we love fasting. It's not like torture. It's a joy. And I know a lot of my non-Muslim friends, people from other faiths, who like to join us in the fast as well. They feel it's a spiritual cleanse, and that's the whole point of fasting. It's not to starve. It's not to lose weight, because actually we gain weight. But the main purpose of fasting, besides feeling with those who are in need, besides appreciating the things that we have, because when you cannot drink water for a whole day, you start thinking water is a precious gift from God, right? When you do not have food to eat, you start feeling with people in starvation that they're not eating. But the most powerful lesson we learn from fasting is you strengthen your willpower. Because if I'm sitting by myself, fasting is something personal. No one can force you to fast. Because I can hide in the bathroom and eat and drink. No one's going to see me, right? I can sit in my office and the bottle of water in front of me, and if I drink Who's going to tell me? Who's going to judge me? It's all between me and God. So we learn to hold ourselves and resist the temptation. I'm sitting by myself and a very nice cup of water in front of me, and I'm thirsty. It's in August and in St. George, and it's really hot. But I'm not going to drink it. I learned since I was young that when I'm fasting, I'm going to hold myself and I'm going to resist my temptation. Now, what did this do to me as a teenager, for example, growing up? When my friend said, here, smoke this, I said, no, I'm not going to smoke. Let's do this. I learned how to resist my temptation. I learned how to strengthen my willpower so I do not fall into mistakes. And that's one of the main purposes of fasting. And finally, Hajj or pilgrimage. We're expected once in a lifetime to visit a place called Mecca. You've heard about Mecca before? Where there is a little cubicle called Kaaba. Maybe you've seen this before. You've seen this picture before? This is not God. We do not worship a black box in the middle of the desert. We believe that this is a temple, was built by Adam. When Adam and Eve ate from the forbidden tree, they were sent to earth. And when they came to earth, they built a temple or a place of worship, and we believe that's the one. Didn't look like this then because it got destroyed during the flood of Noah. Then later on, Abraham and Ishmael rebuilt it again. And over the years, it's been built and rebuilt based on the circumstances. And finally, for the past 100 years, it looked like this. It did not look like this 1,000 years ago, but right now it looks like this, and it's visited by Muslims from all around the world. If you go above in a helicopter or a plane and you see this, this is during the season of Hajj. 5 million people are there from different backgrounds, different languages, different cultures, different ethnicities. They all dressed in the same dress. They all doing exactly the same move at the same time in this picture. And that's what we believe it unites us as Muslims. Right? So that happens every year during a certain season, but also people visit it throughout the year in less numbers, but the main season of Hajj or pilgrimage happens 2 months after Ramadan. Muslims are not supposed to worship any other than God. Muslims are not supposed to disrespect their parents. Muslims are not supposed to cheat, lie, steal, or curse. That are things like every other religion. We're not supposed to have pride over others arrogantly. We're not supposed to have premarital sexual relationship. That's something that Muslims are not supposed to do. We're not allowed to eat pork. We're not allowed to drink alcohol. And we're not allowed to harm others or ourselves, like suicide and all that. These are the things, some of the things that Muslims are not supposed to do. Now, does it mean that all Muslims abide by them? Absolutely not. There are Muslims who are not able to be strong to resist or not to do all this. So you'll find Muslims who make mistakes, of course, all over. Holidays, we have 2 holidays, one right after Ramadan and one right after the pilgrimage season. Go quickly for the sake of time. Muslims have their source of faith or knowledge come from 2 places. The first one is the Quran, which is our scripture, and the second is the Hadith, the sayings of Muhammad. Muhammad, we look at him as a teacher, as a prophet, as a messenger, not as God. So he brought the Quran to us from God, and then he had his own sayings. And for example, God does not look upon your bodies or appearances. He looks upon your hearts and your deeds. One of his beautiful sayings is, the best and most honorable men are those who are kindest and nicest to their wives. And we look at his words we respect his words, and we try to abide by the teachings as much as possible. Misconceptions. Any questions so far? Anyone falling asleep? Yes?
Is there any, I heard you have to touch the Hajj thing or whatever it is.
The Kaaba? Yeah, well, you don't have to, but people...
Is that part of what they try to do?
People try to do that. You know, people are so emotional when they've been hearing about this place all their lives, and now they're 65 and this is the first time they go visit it. It's a very emotional moment. So they try to get as close as possible to it, to touch it, to kiss it. Now, in Islam, we don't believe in idolatry. We don't believe that a stone could be worshipped. We don't believe that a tree should be worshipped. We don't believe an animal should be worshipped. We believe that God is one who is to be worshipped. So you'll find people there who are scholars, but also they are kind of regulators, like security guards, making sure that no one is behaving. You're not worshiping the stone. Stop doing that, for example. Because some people will take their scarf and rub it and start kissing the scarf, and that's kind of exaggeration. That's something that you'll find the scholars who are around it say, hey, that's wrong. You're not supposed to do that. And some of them don't say it that nicely. All right. One of the biggest misconceptions about Islam is that it mistreats women. And women are oppressed, women are in bad shape, women have to dress in a certain way because they are ignorant, they're oppressed, they don't speak English, and all that and all nonsense. This is so painful for us. We keep talking about it over and over again. And the best part is you talk to all the women today. Did anyone complain about me? Did anyone? They're happily here in the mosque. They dress that way because they choose to dress that way. They are so proud of their faith. You know, Islam is the fastest growing religion in America. Every day people are embracing Islam. 2/3 or 70% of the people who embrace Islam in America are women. How would it be possible that they see something bad and they still go into it? If Islam was so bad for women, why we still have Muslim women here? There is no one stopping them from leaving, right? So that's a misconception. Islam actually came to honor women. You know, in the times when Islam came, women in Europe, there was a debate between intellectuals whether women are humans or evil spirits, or women are objects or humans. You've heard about burning the witches, right? Do you think they were really witches on a brooms flying? It's simply a woman who decided to learn, read, speak up. And they, burn that witch. That's what used to happen. Women in the subcontinent in India, you know when someone dies in that part of the world, they'll burn the body. When a husband dies, they'll burn his body and his living wife with him. They did not stop that till the 16th century, right? Huh? Sati? In Arabia, where Islam came, when someone's wife is pregnant and she gives birth, he's anxious until he sees the baby. If it's a boy, he celebrates. If it's a girl, he's ashamed until he buries her alive. He gets rid of her. So Islam came to fight all that. Say, no. Women are humans, equal in the eyes of God. They deserve to earn knowledge. They deserve to choose whomever they want to get married to. They deserve to inherit, because that was not something a woman would not inherit. They deserve to own business. They are equally in the eyes of God. They might not be identical like men because they have other qualities men don't have, or vice versa. But in the eyes of God, they're equal and they have the rights. So Islam came as a revolution. And when people say, what's so great about that? Because I'm not comparing to 21st century America. I'm comparing to the world in the 6th century. You know, voting rights for women were given in America when? 100 years ago, right? It was given to women 1400 years ago in Islam. There was a voting, there was elections. And they said, go and ask the women who are in their homes whom they like to vote for. So that is something that came as a revolution, and that's why there was a fight. People who were ruling the society, they did not like that. They did not like rights for slaves, freedom of slaves. They did not like equality with women. They did not like equality with poor. So they fought Muhammad and they fought the message of Muhammad. Just like all the other prophets and messengers, they were fought against when they brought something good. The hijab, these are some of the sayings of Muhammad Darajat. Seeking knowledge is obligation upon every Muslim, male and female. The most perfect in faith amongst Muslim women is he who is best in manner and kindness to his wife. These are things we hold, we cherish, and we regard so highly when we hear it from Muhammad. Muslim women, they were in leadership position. Until now, we were almost going to celebrate having a woman president, and we're so happy we have a woman vice president right now in America. In Pakistan, in 1986, the prime minister, the main leader of the community, was a woman. In Indonesia, the same thing. ISNA is Islamic Society of North America, one of the largest Islamic organization in America. For many years, it was the woman who was the chairman of that. Indonesia, president, 2001. 1988, sorry, not 1986. That was Benazir Bhutto became the president. So Islam did not fight women or did not put them down, but actually gave them the honor. The first university to be established on the face of earth was established in Morocco nowadays, the University of Qarawiyyin, by a woman. Her picture, I think, is one of these boards here. It's right here. The first university was established by a woman, by a Muslim female scholar. Now, what is the hijab? You see, some Muslim women have heads covers, some of them don't. Hijab is the way Muslim women decide that this is a sign of modesty. It's a free choice. No one can force a woman to dress in that way. Now remember, in some cultures, they do. You go to some countries, it was the law that women has to cover their heads. But that's not Islam. Islam gives the woman the freedom to decide in how she wants to dress, as long as she is dressed modestly. And it's something that they wear, cover their bodies. They don't sleep with it. They don't take shower wearing the hijab. When they're at their household, and they're inside their house, when they're with family members, when they're with other women, they don't have to wear it. Only when they are with men who are not related to them. That's when the rule of hijab comes to be. And it was before Islam. Have you seen a picture of Mother Mary before, without a head cover? Or Mother Teresa? Jewish Orthodox women? It's very common that it's not something, we know that it's not something just started with Islam. Also, one of the points and the benefits of us being here together is when you see a woman wearing a hijab, give her a smile. Say hi to her. Because what they're getting through is stares. People say bad things to them. People telling them, go back to your country. People judging them. My own wife was in a car wash one day and a guy pulled a knife on her. My own wife, someone tells her, go back to your country, curses at her. Well, she's from Texas. If you count that as another country, I understand. But she's a pharmacist. She decides to wear it on her own after we got married. And a very intelligent person. And this is her own country, the only country she knows. Yet people always assume that someone with a hijab, yes, some of them are immigrants, some of them are not. Regardless, if you can see someone and just make their day, because they are walking always worried who's going to attack, who's going to jump, just give them that smile, give them that assurance. That's one of the things that we're hoping that each one of you will do when you are in the streets of the city or anywhere else. Any questions? So far, so good. Almost done. The next misconception people have is that Muslims or Islam promotes violence. And I'm sure you heard that. Well, the fact that you're here, I'm hoping that you don't believe that. But I'm sure you're going to meet somebody who says all Muslims want to kill everyone. All Muslims are terrorists. Yes, we have Muslims are terrorists, just like we have Christians who are terrorists, some Jewish people who are terrorists, Buddhists who are terrorists. Every religion has its share of bad apples and bad guys. But we cannot generalize and stereotype and label 1.8 billion people on the face of earth because of few thousand bad guys. ISIS, for example, one of the worst things that happened to humanity. Muslims say that. And loudly and clearly scream it out loud. ISIS is a terrorist group. They do not practice Islam properly. All the victims of ISIS are who? What? Muslims. Majority of the people who are fighting ISIS are Muslims. Only less than 30,000 fighters with ISIS compared to the 1.8 billion Muslims. If the 1.8 billion Muslims on earth are all bad people and terrorists, we will not have earth anymore. Right? So to label all Muslims, just like saying all the Christians are like the KKK, all the Jews are like the Haganah, we cannot say that. So we want to understand that there are bad people, there are bad apples, but Islam, what does Islam say? People say, but the Quran says, kill them all. No, it doesn't. Quran does not say that. There are verses in the Quran that talk about war. There's no doubt about that. Because war will happen. Whether you like it or not, every nation on the face of earth had to go through war. So what this Quran is telling us is giving us rules and regulation. If you end up being into a war zone, what do you do? Islam says, only fight, the Quran, I'm translating quote word by word. Only fight those who fight you. Do not be the transgressors, because God does not like those who transgress. And when the transgressors stop, you should stop. You should not continue the fight. The rules of engagement in Islam: do not kill women, children, elderly, animals, do not cut trees, do not destroy buildings, do not destroy places of worship. Only fight in the battle zone, in the battlefield, those who are fighting you, and do not transgress. So that is mentioned over and over in the Quran. So people say, what about the word jihad? What does jihad mean? You've heard that word before? Jihad does not mean holy war. It does not mean holy war. Jihad means struggle against evil. So if you are in your house and a robber comes to rob your house, and you grab a baseball bat and you beat the heck out of him, that is jihad. All right? If you are in your business and you get tempted to cheat a customer, that's a temptation, that's strong temptation, and then you say, no, I should not be doing that. That struggle that you have is also called jihad. When your countries get invaded by another power and you volunteer to the army and you start fighting against the invaders, that is jihad. Our coast guards who are defending our borders, they are engaging in jihad. According to Muslims, that's what jihad is. Jihad means fighting evil. That's what it means. Doesn't mean holy war. It doesn't mean go kill the infidels. It doesn't mean terrorism. It doesn't mean blow up buildings and kill innocent people. It does not mean that. 99.9% of Muslims on the face of earth believe in what I just told you. There are fringes, there are bad people here and there who would say bad things, but who would think otherwise, but they do not represent the majority. People like ISIS, because I'm dressed like this, they consider me an infidel, and they say I should be killed. Now, 99.9% of Muslims don't believe that. And that is one of the things that we want to also understand. Thank God this is beyond us and over. We are very happy that it's not as bad as it used to be 10 years ago or 15 years ago. But still, until nowadays, politicians, campaigns in elections, they use that as an election point. I'm going to protect our country from the terrorists. I'm going to protect our country from the Muslims. I'm going to protect our country from the people who wants to kill you all. This is something, unfortunately, keeps coming up. Elections coming up in 2 weeks, in 2 months, or next month. You might hear something like that. So that's some of the things about. Any questions so far?
Am I an infidel?
Are you an infidel? Who invented the term infidel?
The Christians.
I wasn't going that route. I'm saying the Crusaders. Who invented the term holy war? The Crusaders. They said, let's go kill the infidels in a holy war and save the Holy Land, right? Muslims do understand that there are, thank you very much. We do not use that term infidel in a way that, like the 99.9% of Muslims around the world, we do not use that term in a form that, oh, he's an infidel, let's go kill him. All right? We believe there are Muslims, there are people of the book, Christians and Jews, and we believe that people who are faithless or without faith or don't believe in God. And our relationship between us and different faith groups, it's the foundation, the default, it should be a peaceful relationship. There is a verse in the Quran clearly says that God does not prevent you from being at peace and treat kindly those from other faiths when they are not trying to attack you or kick you out of your homes. The next verse says God is only asking you to fight those who are attacking you and kicking you out from your homes. So the default relationship between Muslims and other faith groups should be based on respect, kindness. I have my faith, you have your faith. We can discuss the differences. We can try to convince each other. That's okay. But to use that as we always should fight, we should always get in on top on each other and hurt each other, that's not part of Islam. All right? So if you want labeling or definition, I am Muslim, you're Christian, I'm assuming. All right? And she's Jewish. That's how we look at it. The Christians and Jews have a special relationship with the Muslims. We call it the people of the scripture or the people of the book. Because we believe we worship the same God. We believe they follow prophets that we respect. Muslims have so much respect to Jesus, by the way. Muslims believe that Jesus was born miraculously without a father. Muslims believe that Jesus had miracles of bringing the dead alive, curing the blind, curing the leopard. Muslims believe that Jesus will come before the end of the time and he will rule earth with peace and justice and we will be among his followers. This is mentioned in the Quran. All these things that I told you are mentioned in the Quran. This is something that Muslims, like we get so offended when there is a comedy show making fun of Jesus, as much as we're offended when someone making fun of Muhammad. A few years ago, there was a very vulgar show on TV, on HBO, depicting Jesus in a very negative way, having his picture on the floor and someone using the bathroom on it. We, Muslim organizations in Southern California, we wrote a complaint and we sent it to HBO and said, that's unacceptable. We don't believe it. The same thing for Moses. We have so much respect to Moses. Moses is a major figure in the Islamic tradition and Islamic scripture because he fought tyranny. He stood up against oppression. He helped the oppressed. These are things are called Islamic values. We all believe in them. But there are differences. So we as Muslims don't believe that Jesus is divine. We don't believe that Jesus is the Son of God. We don't believe it. We believe God is one, but all these amazing messengers and prophets are messengers from God. Now, this is where I say we have 90% of the things we agree upon when it comes to Jesus, but there's few things are core in the faith of Christianity. That's what makes you a Christian, makes me a Muslim. But in general, as humans, our relationship should be built on kindness and mutual respect. Yes?
So in the context of mainstream Islam, can you comment on Salman Rushdie and the satanic verses and that whole controversy? Like, how is, we know what American media says about it, but as a Muslim, what does
So,
it look like?
Salman Rushdie authored a book extremely offensive and extremely hurtful towards Muslims. But that was maybe 30 years ago, 40 years ago, something. At that time, the freedom of expression, the freedom of speech was not very cherished around the world. If Salman Rushdie wrote a book about Jesus at that time, Christians in the Middle East will have an uproar as well. Okay? What we as Muslims differ with each other, how to deal with him, that has nothing to do with Islam. That has to do with just strategy. So I personally think because they issued a ruling that he should be killed, made him more popular. He should have been ignored. A few years ago, there was a guy here in Santa Barbara, made a movie, a film about Muhammad. Very bad film. Poorly made, very cheap, very horrible. And it was on YouTube and it has maybe 8 views. Until the Muslims found out. Oh, and we, look at what this guy doing. Millions start watching it. So from my perspective, you guys should ignore these people. Don't listen. Don't give them platform. Don't give them all popularity. They will die. They will go away. But some people say, no, we have to do something about it. Okay? So in Salman Rushdie's case, first of all, in Islam, freedom of speech is cherished, is respected, is given actually. Freedom of speech is given right to every human being. So even Muhammad himself did not cause any punishment on anyone who said bad things about him. Okay? But Muslims nowadays, we come from different cultures, different backgrounds. When there is a European cartoonist or European politician or writer who makes fun of Muhammad, Muslims in the Middle East don't see it as just making fun of Muhammad. They see it a continuation of the Crusades. They see it as an attack on us in general. Okay? So they get upset. They get angry. You know what? There's a history of colonization. There is a history of exploitation. There is a history of tension between Europe and the Middle East. So when that adds salt on the wound, or pain to the wound, they get outraged. Again, when there was cartoons about Muhammad, Muslims around the world reacted in a different way. In the Middle East, they went out in demonstration. In Afghanistan, they killed. Even some of the demonstrators themselves got killed. In America, what did we do? We do what Americans do. We sat down, we talked about it, and we gave each one a DVD player, a DVD called Muhammad Legacy of a Prophet. It's a film made by PBS. I advise you all to watch it. You can find it on YouTube, you can find anyone online, Muhammad Legacy of a Prophet. This is our way of educating people about who Muhammad is, then why we get upset when someone makes fun of him. Okay? But there is nothing in Islam that says someone should be punished if they made fun of Muhammad or made fun of Islam or attacked Islam. Any other questions? Yes?
Why is there a fiction about having a picture
There is no, see, the thing is that people are not upset when someone drew Muhammad. It's the way they drew him. So the European cartoonist drew Muhammad as a pedophile, and then drew him as a guy with his turban of the bomb. Like there's a little grenade on his turban, or like an evil-looking guy. So that's what bothers people, not the fact that Muhammad was drawn in the past, during the past 14. But there is a rule in Islam that Muhammad said, do not make picture of me, not because it's forbidden, but there must be a wisdom behind it. I think the wisdom behind it that he doesn't want a certain race to feel superior to other race. Like in Christianity, Jesus was drawn always as a white guy. That helped. He wasn't white, right? He's from Bethlehem, my town. He might look like me, maybe more. But that gave superiority to the European race over the African race over the centuries because of that drawing. So I believe that Muhammad is telling, I relate to everyone, regardless of who you are, where you look, so it's best not to have a picture of me. But it's not a punishable act if someone did. Like, that too, because Muhammad always said, do not glorify me and make me a god. So the point is, God is the one who to be worshipped, not Muhammad. Throughout the Quran, Muhammad always says, I am a human being. I'm just like each one of you. So he keeps saying that over and over again. The only difference is that I have a revelation from God. And I should not be glorified or made into a divine or a god. That's another definitely wisdom of it. All right, what else? I really don't want you to feel that I'll be offended with any question. All right? I'd rather you ask me the question here than leave in the room and still have it in your mind. Yes?
So, as when the Quran, when they printed it, it used to be oral tradition.
Correct.
How did they decide what to print, what not to print?
Okay, beautiful.
When the library in Alexandria was destroyed, did they lose? Do you think they lost a lot of scripture?
Okay, so that's very, very good question, and we have very well recorded facts and historical facts about how the Quran was collected. First of all, it wasn't several hundred years before it was collected. Right when Muhammad died, just a few years later, they realized that people who memorize the Quran are getting older, maybe they're going to die soon, so let's get them all together and try to write it down. So one person was assigned and appointed that task, and he started going around gathering the Quran from the people who memorize it. And he will not take a verse unless two people will give him the same verse. So he will go to this person, give me that verse, and then he'll go to another person. If he gives him the exact verse, then okay, it's authentic, it's correct, I'll add it. And he kept going around for good time until we compiled it all in one book. Then people start copying it, making copies. So they made 7 copies and they sent it to seven areas, and it stayed in the main center of the governance of the area. And then with the print shops and all that, it's been printed all over. But no, it was not lost for sure. Historically proven as well that everything that was memorized at that time, all of it was documented and written. But nothing was added as well. No addition to the Quran after the death of Muhammad. That's it. That's the last thing was given to Muhammad. That's it. What else? Any other questions? You're still awake. I'm so happy. Very good, very good. Any other questions before I let you go? Yes.
I was just wondering, different groups of Muslims, like in Indonesia or the Arabic countries, they have a different
So the Quran is the same everywhere. It's written in Arabic, translated to all the languages. It might be recited with an accent a little bit differently, just like American says daily, Australian says daily, right? So there are different accents of pronouncing the Quran, but it's the same book and the same everywhere you go. The hadith, though, the hadith was not compiled till later on. And because of that, there were so many fabricated hadith. Like, for example, I sell tomatoes. I want my business to flourish. I go up and say, Prophet Muhammad said tomatoes good for your health. All right? And I let people say it, and people start buying my tomatoes. A lot of fabricated hadith came like this. So around the 9th century, there are several people who dedicated their lives to go around and compile the authentic hadith and reject the unauthentic hadith. And it was a very scientific process where he will sit down with you. Carl? I can't see. Carl? Rich. My goodness. I need... Okay. So, Rich, where did you hear this hadith from? Oh, I heard it from John. Okay, John, where did you hear it from? I heard it from my dad. Oh, your dad was known for being a smart man, an honest man. Okay, I'll take it. I'll write it down. But if I found out, for example, one of the stories, this hadith compiler went and sat down with a guy telling me about the hadith. So tell me the hadith. While he was telling him, he was pointing to his goat to come and eat something. And then he opened, there's nothing in his hand. He said, you're lying to a goat? I'm not going to take it from you. I don't trust you. That's how strict they were in making sure that they only get it from trustworthy people. And thankfully now we have books that says these are the authentic hadith of Muhammad. And there are ones who are completely fabricated, and there are ones in between, kind of 50-50. So people around the world, some people are so strict to only use the authentic ones. Some people are saying, no, I don't mind taking some of the 50-50. And some people will say, I'm not going to take any hadith, I'm just going to stick to the Quran. But it's not based on area, based on just, in each area you'll have these people. Yeah.
What about the Shiites and the Sunnis? What is the main sticking point? Why do
Good.
they have,
Right.
they fight each other? Why?
So after the death of Muhammad, there was a kind of a debate. Who should be the leader after him? Some people say we believe that his best man, his best friend, Abu Bakr, should be the following leader. Others say, no, it should be his son-in-law and cousin Ali. They all agreed that Abu Bakr, the first one, should be the leader. Everyone agreed. About 50 or 60 years later, a group came out and said, no, it should have been Ali. It should have been his cousin. And said, no, we did the right decision. And they ended up fighting. They had a small fight at that time, and that's where the shift started between Shia, who says Ali, the cousin and the brother, the son-in-law, and the Sunni says, no, it's Abu Bakr, that's the right decision. Over the years, little fights here and there. But what we see recently is different than anything we saw in history. Nowadays, Iraq has a lot of oil, has a lot of water, a lot of geopolitical reasons that causing these problems. And when they calm it down, someone tries to make it worse. And I remember I was sitting down here and I read it on the news that there were, in Iraq, they caught 6 British soldiers dressed in Arabic clothing going to a Shia mosque with bombs with them after a time of calm. There are people benefiting when there is division, when there is fight. Oil is cheaper that way, whoever controls it. So we believe that, but it's never been like this before in the past. There was some disagreement, fights throughout history. Normal, 2 nations fight each other, and they use religion to make it worse. But what we're seeing nowadays is absolutely horrible. And it has nothing, it's not religion, it's mostly geopolitical war. Yes? Sufi is what it means mystical, means someone who's so spiritual, and it's part of both. Some Sunnis are considered Sufi, some Shias considered Sufi. It's not a denomination, but it's a way of worshiping. So they, the focus on spirituality, because in Islam, you have 5 things you focus on when you worship God. Spirituality is one of them, creed or theology, acts of worship, transactions, and manners, good manners. So whoever focuses on one of them becomes kind of an extreme in one of them. Sufism focuses more on spirituality. Like you see them going around in circles. You're going. That feels like, I'm getting high from spirituality. So that's the focus on it. And if it's not extreme, it's a legitimate version of Islam. But again, anybody goes in extreme, because one of the things that I personally don't like, if I see a man kissing the hand of an imam, kissing the hand of a religious leader. When a religious leader start becoming a cult and telling people do this and do that, that's an extreme version of Sufism. I personally disagree with. But if it's just more about making you a better person from inside, then no, nothing wrong in that. All right. Good questions. Thank you very much. I hope I did not bore you to death. Thank you very much for joining. I really appreciate it. If you can do something for us, please don't be a stranger. Come back again. If you're in the neighborhood, stop by every once in a while, say hi. If you see any of us in the streets, say salam. You'll be, what? All right? If you see a woman with a hijab, give her a smile. Tell her good morning. How are you doing? I'm sure you're going to meet somebody who was not here with us today. Tell them about the things that you heard today. If you heard someone saying hateful things, negative things, tell them that's not right. I do this. When I travel to the Middle East and they tell me Americans are horrible, they're warmongers, they want to kill, I said, no, that's not right. You should meet your Belinda Muslim American. They're such nice people, generous, genuine, and Fullerton and St. George and everywhere. So if you talk to someone who says an ignorant comment, you can educate them, or you can ask them to visit us, and we'll be more than happy to sit down with them and answer their questions as much as we can. Thank you very much for being here.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much, Dr. Shoboh. Your presentation was just amazing. On behalf of the Islamic Center of North Belinda, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time out.